Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and this is gonna be a very strange video. I'm autistic, and some of you might know this, some of you might not. I was diagnosed at 17. I always knew that I was different. I have mildly to severe light and sound sensitivity. I was raised by parents who very much wanted me to be extremely normal. And as a result, people often are confused that I'm autistic and they're like, but you're charismatic, but you're this, but you're that, implying as if autistic people cannot be charismatic or cannot have learned social skills. And the point of this video is because I want to talk about like emotional openness and how some people are able to hold their emotions on their sleeve, like you have your heart on your sleeve. And that is not me. Like that is absolutely not me. Like if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I have somewhat of an ability to communicate my thoughts and ideas in a somewhat concise and clear manner. However, if you go back and watch all of those videos, you'll notice that I never talk about my deep emotional feelings or how I perceive things like that. Like the vast majority of my videos are social commentary, understanding how the world works and interacting with the world in a philosophical / spiritual / pragmatic or practical way. I don't talk about my feelings. Like I hate it. And the way I see it, for a long time, it was because I just told myself, well, I'm British, my parents are English. This is how we were raised to sort of handle our emotions and handle our feelings. And later on, after I was diagnosed and put on the spectrum, or I was identified as being on the spectrum, I was always on the spectrum, I sort of started to conceptualize it as this, and now I firmly see it as this, that the reason I am hesitant to share my close internal feelings and emotions with other people is because I'm on the spectrum and it feels weird, and social interactions don't come naturally to me, even if you might say, well, you seem so charismatic on the camera. Yeah, I'm quite different in person. I don't think I'm different in the way that I speak or the way that I interact, but people do notice that I'm a little bit different in my mannerisms and things like that, because it's very different talking to a camera than it is talking to a human being. And I think as someone who people often don't assume or don't think of as being on the spectrum, it can get really frustrating when someone says like, well, you don't seem autistic. It's like, okay, I don't understand what you're implying or what the undertones are, especially because I'm on the spectrum and I'm like, I have no idea what your motive is here. Are you complimenting me? Are you making like a slight dig at people who are on the spectrum who are not able to pass as quote unquote normal, whatever that is? But anyway, the focus of this video, which I'm attempting to give a holistic understanding of, is that I really dislike sharing my deep emotional, sympathetic feelings and emotions with other people. I can be very close, very loving and sympathetic to my friends and family, but everything that's going on up here is private, is none of anybody's business. And you might think like, oh, well then how do you get close to people? And I get close to people by talking to them about their stuff. You know, I can share my thoughts and I can share funny stories and anecdotes, and I can sympathize and level with people. You know, many people think that autistic people cannot empathize, and I think that's so wrong. I think we can empathize like twice as good as other people can. And I'm able to connect with people on a basis that I think is pretty good. Like I said, I don't have like a natural, innate, intuitive sense for social situations. Like I'm always having to sort of test the boundaries, and I've spent the last like 25 years of my life trying to figure out exactly what different eye contacts mean, different facial expressions mean, um, having to constantly like sort of second guess myself and go, did I read that right? Like, I don't know if I did. And then just having to like mimic, because again, those facial expressions don't come naturally to me. So then I have to sort of practice in a mirror, like getting used to saying like, this is how I'm talking when I want to express happiness. Um, and I don't want anyone to think that like I'm being fake or anything, because autistic people are not fake. Like we are real. It's just we don't get that innate whatever that everyone else gets to seem to understand how to read a room and understand the situation. So that's a little side piece anyway. But seriously, I have been talking with some friends recently, and a few of them have pointed this out, that hey Jax, like you don't really express like deep emotions and feelings very clearly. I think one of the problems is my friends are North American, and for whatever reason, Americans and Canadians are just really good at like the touchy-feely, lovey-dovey stuff. And like I said, my parents are British. We don't do that. We love each other very much, and we'd take a bullet for each one of us, but we don't like hug every day. We don't, say, "Oh, I love you," unless like you're going on a big trip or whatever. And some of my friends have pointed this out, and it's got me thinking about my emotional intelligence, which I think is quite good. It's just I don't think it's something that I am comfortable sharing with. And even in long term relationships, I've had problems where my partner is unsure whether I actually like them, which is a bit of a problem, because if you are with somebody, you should have no doubt in your mind that the person loves you and cares for you. But I have a really hard time expressing that in words. I have no problem expressing that in like spending time with somebody, with intimacy of any kind. But I I don't like saying it. Like that just it seems fake. And it seems like it's disingenuous in somehow in my brain, and so I just refuse to kind of say it in those terms. I've gotten good at just saying sort of like, "Oh, I love you" to my friends because they need to hear it, and that's good, communication. But when it comes to like a romantic partner or somebody that I'm talking to in those regards, and even to my friends in some cases, they get this sense that's like, how do you actually feel? Like what do you feel? And I hate that question. I really dislike it. And I think part of it is because I am somewhat eloquent in the way that I can construct a conversation, even if I'm saying a bunch of times in this video, which is bugging me internally, but we're gonna skip over that. However, I feel as though I am somewhat articulate in how I can communicate feelings and thoughts. And it just feels weird to try and verbally out loud say these kinds of sentiments or feelings to another person. And I would rather have my actions speak for it. And then it's obviously like a bit of a come down when they say, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you feel about me because you haven't said anything. It's like, well, I've like acted on it. I've tried to, embody my feelings. And if you actively need me to say stuff, that's really hard for me to do. And I don't know, maybe I will do a few more videos on being autistic, being on the spectrum, and having to deal with emotions and masking. And like, there's a lot to it. And I know it's something that I don't talk about a lot. I know, like, I've said it before in videos. Like, I hope this isn't like a huge shock to you that I'm on the spectrum, but it is what it is, I suppose. So I don't know. This video kind of feels like a ramble, and maybe it's just because I'm not good at expressing my emotions or my deeper feelings about things. Like I said, I could eloquently give you like a speech on 1920s British politics. But if you ask me to explain how I feel in a given moment, we don't like that. And then if you ask me to give you like an emotional synopsis of a relationship that I have with somebody, yikes. Like, please don't. Like, I feel uncomfy. And like, to be honest, this whole video has been difficult to surmise, but I think it's also good practice for me to be able to try and explain this. And also, if you're watching this video because I've sent you this video because I know you in real life and, I wanted to eloquently explain, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I physically couldn't say this to you in person, but it's far easier. And it's one of the reasons why I love YouTube so much, is that being able to communicate on here and being able to express myself is far easier than when I'm talking face to face with a human. And that's just who I am. Like, that's literally my physical makeup. I'm sorry. Some people can run marathons, some people can't. And then some people can communicate this stuff in person and some people need to do it through a screen. So apologies if I've just sent you this video being like, here's like a kind of explanation of how I view things. Sorry. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any experience or insight into this, because it's confusing and it's weird and it's unique. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.